Got an older Star Wars figure here that still stands up from 2001. Cantina patron Ellors Madak. One of the cool aliens in the cantina. One that always stood out to me that looked pretty awesome. This is a fan's choice figure, and I can see why, because it's one that you would have thought got made into a figure back in the day in the 70s and 80s original Star Wars toy line, but it was not. Because of that, he never got like a name for his species or character like some of the other aliens did get. So only recently named and given a species, the Duros species that you would later get to see with Cad Bane and other Star Wars cartoons and shows. I definitely thought there was some connection with the Episode 1 aliens, those Nemoidian aliens too, but I guess it's a different species in the Star Wars universe. Kind of like a classic alien design, like, ooh, visiting Earth, kind of big head, big eye aliens. But one that always stood out in the cantina amongst some of the others to me, which is kind of funny that just now, you know, they had to have a fan's choice in 2001 to get a figure of this character. A lot of work and detail in the face, which is really the money spot right there for any figure. So that's pretty cool because, again, this is an older figure than the problem will be the articulation might not satisfy with just the kind of 6-point. We got the waist and arms and legs and head. He's kind of in his own little weird pose here. He's got that space suit. Does kind of lean weirdly the way these legs are, but he stands up just fine, which is a huge problem with a lot of these older figures, that they have kind of weird stances. And again, the body type is not like some buff, hulked out version that some of these earlier figures had. Very realistically portioned, so he's going to fit in any collection, even if you have a lot of high quality vintage collection figures. Does come with a blaster, not really visible, I don't think, in the actual film. It's just kind of a give them an accessory kind of thing. Fits in the hand pretty well. A little loose, not tight or anything. But what's cool, since you wouldn't maybe want to display him with the gun, since he was just kind of hanging out in the cantina, they've kind of worked in like a holster on his boot as to not kind of break up his costume appearance from the movie. Put this little holster down the boot, you can put this little accessory in the boot pretty nicely with that scope on there. So they have their accessory, don't have to like put it in a baggie and like possibly lose it. You got it on the figure. It can be out of sight a little bit. It's like an off-camera detail for him, you know. He's packing. There is almost kind of like a sparkle and shine to the spacesuit. A little bit like very faintly glittery. So there's not like a figure that I have of the other of his species he was talking to, which allegedly was his wife, actually a female of the species. Don't know how canon that is still, but it would be cool just to get another figure, to have the pair of them, since interestingly in the cantina it was always like one of each species kind of hanging out with other weird aliens and space travelers. Uniquely actually two of the same species together here. So #1 fan choice in 2001 for a pretty good reason, because this is one I definitely would have liked a figure of all along, because it was another standout alien I always noticed a lot when watching Star Wars over and over and over and over and over again. So that's what I like to do here, is show off older figures or figures that represent older shows and cartoons and stuff like that. Things that'll still fit nicely into my big collection of action figures. So if you enjoyed this talk about Mr. Duros here, I go by many names. You'll probably want to check out the next vid here, whether it's Star Wars or other cool retro stuff, 90s and adjoining decades. Stick around right here.